I think the blessing of having a temple in Moses Lake is what the prophet is trying to accomplish, and that is bringing the temples to the people. For many, many years, it's taken huge sacrifice for families to go to the temple, but the prophet has talked about trying to have the temples within 200 miles of the saints. So I think that's just an indication of the love of our Father in heaven, that we have temples that we can attend regularly rather than a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Well, it means that I can do more work for my family, my deceased family members, and any of my living family members who need ordinances. It would just be easier to accomplish that. But I spend most of my time doing family history, and so the ease of actually accomplishing that work is marvelous.
Temples are where we have the highest ordinance. We are baptized as members of the church to take upon ourselves the name of Christ, but that's the gateway. We come to the temple to receive what we call an endowment, which is a gift, a heavenly gift from our Father in heaven. We're all God's children, every one of us on earth. He wants all of his children to come home. So he provides that way by telling us who we are. In temples, we understand our true identity, our divine potential, and we make covenants, and keeping those covenants make us better people, and we align ourselves more with God's will. And we have the opportunity to be sealed to our husband or wife or children forever. So relationships can last beyond the grave. I think that says more than just about anything else. It gives someone confidence and clarity and great comfort, especially when someone has lost a loved one, and they know that life goes on.
As I mentioned in my remarks, it's personal. There are things in your personal life where you need a calm, quiet place where you can feel the Spirit of the Lord to help you find solutions, find help for family members, and to do ordinances for those who have passed away. So those are most important to us.
There are thousands of chapels all over the world. And in the chapels, that's where we have our Sunday worship meetings, that's where we have youth activities, that's where we have the Relief Society, the Sisters of the Church that meet together, the priesthood meetings. So and everyone is invited to the chapels worldwide. That's also where we do the baptisms of our children and those that are baptized into the church. The difference is that the temple requires a temple recommend, and what that requires is that a person makes commitments and covenants that they will strive to do the things that God has commanded us. And the only ones that can attend the temple are those that are 11 years or older. So again, the sacred nature of the temple, that's where we do baptisms for the dead, that's where we do the vicarious work for our ancestors. And so it really has two different purposes. Again, to bless our ancestors and to provide the sealings of marriage. Many people think what goes on in that building because we can't just walk in, but again, everything that's done in the temple is sacred, it's modest, it faces toward God.
I think it'll have an amazing effect for good on the community. The temple raises all the level. It's a tide that raises all boats. I remember when our Frankfurt temple was first announced, the community was up in arms against it and did not want it because of traffic, did not understand it. The mayor supported it. He understood more about it, but he lost his job because of his support in Frankfurt, Germany. Some of the leaders in the community went down to Switzerland to ask the community down there what they thought of the temple, because it was the first temple in Europe years ago, and they said If you can get a temple, do everything you possibly can to get one. It's made a huge difference in our community. So they supported it, and the temple was built. A couple of years ago, it was shut down to be dramatically remodeled, and it took 4 years because it was an extensive remodel. Those same neighbors who were against the temple kept saying, when is our temple going to be built? When is it going to be back? It has meant so much to our community. So everywhere a temple is built blesses the community. Although there was always opposition, Brigham Young said, whenever a temple is dedicated, hell's bells ring. And I want them to ring again. So there'll be opposition, but there'll also be a great blessing to the community. When I was in Cape Verde, I took many of the dignitaries, the president of the country and the prime minister and secretary of state, and they said, there's no building like this in our country. It is so peaceful and beautiful and full of light. And I think that's happening throughout the world. It will happen in Moses Lake.
The way I think that any community that has a temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is blessed, because that means that there are significant numbers of members of the church in that area. And as members of the church, we are taught to reach out as the Savior did, to bless the lives of others. And so I think anytime there's an active temple in an area, then the hearts of the people change. And I think the good works that we see people accomplish attract other good people. So I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I do know that this will be a better community because of this temple, which is centered in Jesus Christ.
Personally, this is a great sentimental blessing for me. My father and my grandfather were missionaries for the church in this area many, many years ago. I remember my father talking about Yakima, which is, and the Dalles and the Washington and Oregon area. So it's fun for me to come back and see a temple here in Moses Lake.